welcome to another Generator Media and Analytics Fireside Chat, where we have very casual conversations about specific topics that are pertinent in the industry every single quarter. So you're probably watching this on YouTube or on our website. Feel free to subscribe to either of those. We would love to just keep in touch. But this quarter, we're talking about something that has been really top of mind for marketers for, I would say, a little over a year now because of trends that are going on with Google as well as hardware in the Apple space. But it's all around this idea of cookieless tracking and cookieless analytics, as well as cookieless targeting. And so we've brought some extremely masterminded individuals here to our panel where we're going to have a little discussion around cookieless targeting and just the cookieless trend in general. My name is Adam Ortman. I'm SVP of Innovation and Growth at Generator, and I'm going to pass it over to Josh.
Sure thing. I'm Josh Hare. I'm SVP of Sales at Viant, overseeing our national sales and account management teams. So been in the industry for about 20 years. Started my career at NBC, doing spot sales before I made the jump to digital. And a little fun fact, this July will be my 16th year at Viant. So a very long time in the industry.
That is a long time, but we're very happy to have you, Josh. Thank you.
Congrats.
Appreciate it. It's unheard of. It's unheard of.
Yeah, in this industry, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, then just to kind of go on that, I work for Viant, and Viant's been in business for over 20 years in our space. So that's also pretty unheard of as well. So been around about as long as Google, been around longer than Meta, longer than most companies in the ad tech industry. So just for those of you that don't know or are not familiar with Viant, we focus on people-based advertising. So we focus on delivering tools to brands and media owners to really move beyond the cookie, focus on delivering ads across all channels and providing robust metrics on measurement. So little plug for us right there.
That's perfect. All right, and my name is Ryan Chan. I'm a VP of Media Strategy over here at Generator Media. Been with the company for about 5 years now, and yeah, really excited to chat about this topic, just given how everywhere it is and how it's going to impact us all in the future.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be incredibly impactful. And Josh, again, thank you for joining us on behalf of Viant. Viant is one of our partners that we've been partnering for quite some time now. That is one of the leaders in this cookieless conversation. We are always looking to make sure that our clients at Generator are on the forefront, taking all of the variables, external and internal, from their businesses into consideration. Obviously, this is a trend that is impacting the Generator book of business, but also the greater industry as well. So, guys, let's jump in, shall we?
Let's do it.
Do it.
So Josh, I think just as a good umbrella conversation to start us off with is give us a quick overview of this landscape, right? What is the cookie versus the cookieless, and why are we moving in the direction that we are today?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think most people in our industry should know what a cookie is. It's a piece of code that is stored on a user's device when they visit a website. And that code really gives out information like users' preferences, browsing history, login details, etc. But the cookie really generated when online advertising started way back when, 20 plus years ago. And that really was the currency. And back then, you really only had desktop display advertising. So as new supply channels became available through desktop, and then through the proliferation of devices, I've got probably 11 devices sitting right here in front of me. Not all those devices and not all those supply channels work with the old legacy cookie. So you have the proliferation of devices, which helped deprecate the effectiveness of the cookie. Then you add on top of that privacy regulation, which has been really heavy here the last couple of years. There's a very sense of wanting to maintain everyone's privacy online. So the data that I mentioned that was gathered by the cookie is now being restricted, which that then led to consumers being proactive and actually blocking cookies on their devices in some instances. So where the cookie was once the most prevalent currency to target and measure advertising, It's now been deprecated based on those couple factors. In fact, where the cookie was probably present in nearly all impressions in the bid stream, currently the cookie is really only available about 20% of impressions that you receive. So as the impression moves through the ecosystem and lands on a device, a cookie is only available about 20% of the time. So what does that mean to us for for our brands and our advertisers? It really comes back to cross-device targeting and measurement has become a lot less effective because of this. So as I mentioned, the cookie is tied to the device that the user's on. But when I wake up in the morning, I turn on my TV and scroll through my iPhone and then get on my iPad and come to work on my laptop and go home and stream a show. Yeah. The cookie does not follow me across that full ecosystem. Yeah. Now, on the flip side, that's where Cookieless comes into. So as the cookie's deprecated, companies have needed to find new ways to really target consumers across, their daily activities. Yeah. So that's where kind of cookieless IDs, tracking, and methodology really comes into play. And so that's moving beyond the cookie. That's taking all the other identifiers that are out there, such as emails, first-party data, maids, device IDs. The list goes on and on. Yeah, so that's where we are today. We've evolved away from the cookie to now using all these other IDs available across those devices to target consumers as they go about their daily activities. And so what we're really seeing happen now, and I think this is where the conversation will go towards, is that companies like Viant and others out there have created a cookieless ID that takes a combination of those identifiers to be able to track consumers or households across those activities. And that leads to much more robust targeting, more robust measurement, omni-channel targeting, cross-channel measurement, and it brings home a true return on ad spend for online and offline measurement, which brings efficiency to our advertisers. So that's about 20 years.
No one wants to argue with that. Absolutely. You're going to tell me that we're bringing efficiency to our campaigns. Absolutely.
That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do.
I do see the cookieless trend being a very, albeit we have variables that are pushing this forward, I do see the cookieless topic actually as a natural evolution of the internet. It just makes sense, right? Technology is changing, people's behaviors and interactions with the internet is changing. But Ryan, from your perspective, how have you seen this evolution in the day-to-day campaign management for your clients?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it just has to do with helping to future-proof ourselves. So whether that be the implementation of technology that partners like Viant have at their fingertips, or if it's exploring other alternatives that have sort of existed all along, but we shied away from as the cookie became more prevalent. So I'm thinking solutions like, for instance, like contextual. It's something that again didn't quite have the same level of flexibility that behavioral targeting had once it sort of rose over like the past 10, 15 years, and now is starting to fade a little bit more to the background with these privacy conversations. But now with again the amount of technology available and the evolution of things like semantic targeting and being able to really capture sentiment a lot more in a much more sophisticated way in the past. It's a matter of sort of almost returning to the roots in some cases like that. Josh, I know that you also mentioned just sort of your morning ritual and the number of different devices used. I think one of the things that you mentioned was TV. I think the way that TV has been evolving, and I know Viant has a specific expertise here, like with connected TV and streaming.
We've leveraged with Viant.
Exactly. Like that's a huge opportunity there too, because it's sort of always had that advantage of sort of growing in a cookieless environment too. So, I think in some ways the industry has had to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward, just in the way as technologies really progress and, allowed us to capitalize and for different channels to really catch up as the cookie sort of kept everything afloat in the meantime.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and you've just touched on some opportunities. But Josh, did you have an addition?
I was going to say I really do agree with that. It's like we're taking a step backwards to go a step forward, because contextual targeting was really the only targeting available, and that's where behavioral targeting derived from. And we got so precise with what we were able to do. But due to privacy regulations and just, again, all the devices and supply that's available out there, we're taking a step back towards that contextual approach and then reapproaching it with a combination of identifiers to really be able to hit everybody across all of it. But it made me laugh when you said contextual, because it's exactly what people are going back to right now.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, if you were to mention contextual 5 years ago, people would laugh at you because it was terrible. But look at it now. I mean, it's come enormous leaps and bounds. So that's interesting, this idea of going back to, excel as we go forward. I think that's actually very healthy behavior. But I can also see this regression that brands may be going back into more archaic ways of targeting because they are losing the effectiveness of the cookie. But from the two of your perspectives, I'm curious, what are some other mistakes that brands are making as they go through this, as we all go through this transition?
So, Brian, do you want to go first? Do you want me to
go
first?
I was gonna hand it over to you.
I honestly would say, because it is a transition, the biggest mistake I think brands and agencies are making is a reluctance to test. I think you need to get out there, and because there are different solutions, there are different methodologies, there are different strategies, you need to be out there testing now. Because when you think about how we got here, 3 or 4 years ago, in 2020, Google said there would be no more cookies in the bid stream from Chrome.
Yeah.
Here we are 3.5 years later, and that has not happened. But what that did do was really—
They're busy. I don't know. They got stuff going on.
They're busy. No, I'm not knocking Google, guys. I'm not knocking Google. But no, but they kickstarted the industry to really move forward and really evolve. And so, companies like Viant, we've created our household ID as a result of this, and we're not the only ones. But companies have been innovated to create really robust targeting IDs, really robust attribution models to be able to overcome just our historic legacy cookie-based targeting and measurement. So I think that if you're not out there testing now and you're waiting for a mandate or you're waiting for a silver bullet to come through, one, there's not going to be a silver bullet, and two, you're going to miss the boat because all your competitors are out there testing right now.
Yeah, and I think, just to give quote unquote missing the boat a little bit more definition, that means your targeting is going to go out the window, your costs are going to go up, and your conversion rates are going to go way down. So when you're looking at how do your campaigns behave in a cookieless environment, if you're not taking the appropriate steps today to test in and learn and find what your bespoke solution is, it will impact your campaigns. I think that that's a very safe statement to say as we go into the coming years. So, I mean, Ryan, I've been working with you for a long time, man. I understand your aggression with test and learn, and I think it is incredible. So how do you maintain that rigor when you're going through this type of cookieless topic?
Yeah, I think it's exactly as Josh said. It's a matter of, we've been given a gift of just the luxury of extra time, from when that initial statement was made. So I think it's a matter of just continuing to earmark portions of your overall media plan for testing specifically for this purpose. The resistance to moving forward is only going to result in a bigger, much more substantial headache in the future when, again, the other shoe drops. I would say, in addition to that, beyond just testing, something that's really important to marketers overall, aside from just paid media, is making sure that their house is in order from a first-party data standpoint. It's something that you have complete control over, and as important as it is now, and in a landscape where cookies are still partially viable, it's going to become even more vital to serve as connective tissue across the overall first party data and the media landscape. So it's, even if it's not the matter of testing directly against paid media campaigns, it's the matter of making sure that the way that everybody feels confident on data collection processes as well as data organization as well.
I love that. So when you're looking at what existed before versus what will be existing in the future, do we feel that there is apples to apples, or are we looking at apples to pears these days? You know, when you're looking at targeting a customer audience that a brand has been very cozy in targeting for the last, 10, 15 years, Josh, do you feel like it is at parity?
I don't think it's at parity. It's funny because when I'm talking about like the one identifier to the many identifiers that you said fruit, like I thought of a cornucopia of fruit of like you got your apple, you got your pear, you got orange, you got all the stuff out there. No, but
we are just before lunch, so I still
yeah, I know, right? No, but I don't think we're going backwards. I think we're going forwards, and I think it's just a matter of people need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and they need to get out there and be comfortable with that test. And then what I would actually kind of point to, Ryan mentioned first party data, like that is where, I mean, there is so much brands can do with their first party data now, especially matching to a cookieless identifier. It blows away any type of targeting and measurement that they've historically done. So I think where we might be removing what's been commonplace in the ecosystem, companies have always had first party data, and now they're actually going to really be able to leverage that first party data and get that targeting and then both online and offline measurement to get a true read on what their campaigns are really doing.
Perfect. Ryan, anything else to add?
No, I again completely agree with Josh. I think the analogy of the silver bullet was kind of where my head was at in terms of just like what my response would have been, in the sense that there's no perfect solution the way that we've kind of had it with the past. Like currency is the way that third-party cookies like always seems to be described as like just like a general analogy, and that's very much the case. And that's again like a common basis of comparison across a number of disparate technologies. It's just not going to be that easy moving forward. So I think, again, it's a matter of establishing appropriate benchmarks per channel. There could be some sort of technology that comes along to help, create some basis of comparison to help with this process, but it just doesn't appear like it's going to be as clean cut as, we've really become acclimated to recently.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, not at all. It's just a matter of adjustment of perception.
Absolutely. And I am looking now where we are and where we will be going in the future. And, we've probably, I don't know how many times we've heard the era of mobile statement for 20 years. It's been ridiculous. Yeah. But when you're looking at the future, I can absolutely see us going into this more era of targeting, era of first party data, because it's going to, the brands that are going to win are the brands that get most creative with their first party data, and how do they leverage that within their targeting capabilities that exist as they evolve. So really, really interesting stuff. But last question of the day, we're closing these out. But if we're looking at what are our biggest takeaways from this conversation, and what should brands really just the 3 bullets that brands should know coming to this talk, but also leaving this talk with a better understanding of cookieless targeting and just the cookieless environment. Josh, what would your 3 bullets be?
So I'm going to go off of what you just said, where you said, we talked about the year of mobile forever. That did happen eventually, but it took us like 8 years of talking about it. I think what we're about to see right now is the year of linear convergence into true CTV. I mean, people have had these massive direct buys that they've done through their linear execution. And we've always been talking about how it's going to transition over and really be executed through CTV or through streaming channels. And I think we saw a lot of big tests take place this year in it. But I think 2024 is going to really kick off probably the biggest transition we've seen in our industry in a long time, of money moving away from traditional methods over to pure digital plays. And so with that transition, I think that there really are 3 areas that every brand, every agency should really be looking at. And so I think the first one is just omni-channel scalability. So you cannot, because of like what I just described, you can't really be doing your strategy planning and activation in silos or based on channels anymore. It needs to be an overall strategy, an overall activation plan, an overall measurement. And then the second thing I think is really having one linear, I shouldn't use linear, but one consistent form of measurement across your media. Yes, there are large MMA in the background and whatnot you can run, but there are partners out there that can provide a very robust reporting suites that help tie in your linear, your CTV, and your digital activation, so you can really track your online and offline conversions and really see what impact is every piece of the media campaign having on your business. And then I think the third one, which I think is the biggest hot topic in our industry right now outside of Cookieless, is really just AI and machine learning. So yeah, I mean, it's huge, and that could be hopefully that's a whole other segment you already have done or are going to do. I'm not the expert in that one, so you'll need to find somebody else.
Sure.
But we're just in the infancy of how this is going to shape our industry and our world. And I think companies or brands that partner with robust cookie IDs and robust machine learning suites, they're going to win, because decisions are being made instantaneously to improve campaign performance, instead of the 2 or 3 days we'd go through to gather the data, analyze the data, go through the approval process, and activate. That's now done in a millisecond. So that combined with the cookieless aspect just changes the game.
Perfect. And Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my main takeaway is a little bit broader and a little bit more conceptual, but just again, confronting this sort of set of obstacles head on. Start testing as soon as you can. Start establishing best practices based on your own performance data, because there are already a number of case studies out there. Just in light of the nature that this isn't something that's going to be happening all of a sudden. The deprecation of the cookie has already been occurring for quite some time now. So there are just a number of use cases where testing the concept of cookieless versus cookied environments already shows a great deal of advantages to utilizing targeting against cookieless environments, just by the nature of it's a larger addressable scale, being able to capitalize on those types of efficiencies and the larger potential reach. So, it's a topic that can be intimidating, but sitting around and again, sort of waiting for the perfect solution to come about isn't going to help. Testing and getting your hands dirty is really good. What's going to help solve this issue.
Love that. I love that. Well, I love chatting with the both of you. Again, thank you very much for your time today. And thank you for those that are viewing this, another Fireside Chat by Generator Media Analytics. Catch us next quarter. And like I said, subscribe to our channel and keep up to date with everything Generator Media Analytics. Thanks, everybody.